Today, we are going to talk about stagflation, a super unusual economic situation that can really hurt the economy and be very difficult to get out of. We'll break down what stagflation is, what are the causes of it, look at the history of stagflation in the United States, and finally, talk about ways you can be financially prepared for a period of stagflation. My name is Kanak and welcome back to my channel. If you want to learn more about such interesting topics from the world of finance and economics, then subscribe to my channel, and your support is what keeps this channel running. So show your support by liking the video and sharing your thoughts in the comment section below. The word stagflation is a combination of two words, stagnant, which is in reference to the economy, and inflation. When an economy is in stagflation, it basically means the economy is facing three negatives simultaneously, which are low economic growth, high unemployment rate, and high inflation. Stagflation is different from a recession because recession is when the economy has declined consecutively for 2 or more quarters. During times of recession, unemployment rises, but inflation is not usually accompanied. So, during a recession, the central bank of the country tries to jumpstart the economy by lowering the interest rates and increasing the supply of money. Secondly, stagflation is also different from times of high inflation because if the high inflation is a result of excessive supply of money in the economy, then the economy usually tends to be growing and the unemployment rate usually tends to be low. And the central bank can control such high inflation by increasing the interest rates and lowering the supply of money. Because by raising the interest rates, central banks can make borrowing more expensive, which reduces the supply of money in the economy. And reduced supply of money decreases demand, which in turn controls the inflation. However, stagflation is different from both recession and high inflation because during stagflation, not only does the economic growth slows down, which can lead to increased unemployment, but also the economy experiences a very high inflation rate. When all these three things exist at the same time, it becomes very difficult for the central bank of the country to get the economy out of stagflation because lowering the interest rate can amplify the existing inflation, whereas raising the interest rate can cause a recession and increase unemployment further. There is a very interesting metric called misery index that indicates the presence of stagflation. The misery index is simply the sum of unemployment rate and inflation rate. As you can see on your screen, the misery index reached its highest point in 1975 at about 19% and in 1980 at about 21%. This is the period when the United States experienced stagflation. From 1974 to 1975, the US economy saw a negative growth rate. The inflation rate reached double digits by 1974 and unemployment rate reached 9% in 1975. So starting from the early 1970s, the United States economy experienced a period of stagflation for almost a decade until the early 1980s. Now there were multiple factors at play that economists believe caused this period of stagflation, which include high budget deficit due to Vietnam War, the abandoning of the gold standards for the US dollar, and the oil embargo on the United States by the Arab countries, which skyrocketed the prices of energy. Now to get out of stagflation, during the 1970s, the US government and central banks tried to increase the supply of money in the economy to reduce the unemployment, but failed to pull the economy out of stagflation. So in the early 1980s, the then Fed chair, Paul Volcker, reduced the supply of money in the economy and raised the interest rates to an astronomical double-digit rates, which pushed the economy into recessions. Following the recessions of the early 1980s and cooling off of oil prices, the economy finally stabilized and got out of stagflation. Now the next important question is, what causes stagflation? There is not a single consensus among economists as to what leads the economy to stagflation. However, certain groups of economists believe it is the supply side shocks that cause stagflation. In the 1970s, the oil embargo from the Arab countries was the supply side shock that reduced the supply of oil to the United States. This led to the rise of prices in the economy. Similarly, a potential stagflation situation was building up between 2020 and 2022 when COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war disrupted the global supply chain. As the supply of various goods and services declined globally, prices rose. As you can see on your screen, the misery index shot up after 2020 and stayed high until 2022. Now there are other groups of economists who believe sudden increase in money supply in the economy causes stagflation because too much money chasing a limited number of goods and services leads to sudden price rise. While other economists believe high taxes Government regulation and excessive government spending leads to stagflation. As the economy is a very complex system impacted by various forces, there might not be a clear single cause, but instead it could be a combination of various factors that could lead to stagflation. The exact cause of stagflation is not yet known, and not only that, but an exact solution to stagflation does not exist. It is one of the hardest economic challenges that the central banks and governments have to deal with, and getting the economy out of stagflation can be a very long and painful journey. Now, as an individual, what can you do to protect yourself if you believe we are heading into a period of stagflation? As stagflation has both a high unemployment rate and a high inflation, as individuals we might lose our jobs and see an increase in our cost of living. So here are 3 simple steps that can help individuals be prepared for the times of stagflation. Firstly, living below the means and increasing monthly savings. Secondly, investing the savings in assets that perform well during times of high inflation. Assets such as real estate or equity REITs, energy stocks, utility stocks, or high quality value stocks tend to perform well and hold their value in times of high inflation. The third step is to train and upskill oneself and stay competitive in the job market, because during times of high unemployment, not only are the number of jobs limited, but the competition for a limited number of jobs also increases. That's all for this video, and I hope you found this video helpful, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.